Suspends passports of 100 travelers over failure to conduct mandatory COVID-19 test.
Some NIMC staff suspended over alleged extortion of applicants in Bauchi and Kaduna states.
Nigeria records 917 new COVID-19 infections.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on implementing single African market.
Now considered to be a game changer in regional and international trade, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, after several delays, mostly caused by COVID-19 pandemic, came into force on 1st January 2021.
Now, Juma, experts already estimate that the single African market policy is bringing together the continent's 1.3 billion people, thereby creating an unprecedented economic bloc with a combined GDP of $3.4 trillion.
Quite a huge economic Nadabo there, and it's not only all, that's not all. The single African market deal, which involves all 54 AU member countries, is expected to lift 30 million Africans out of poverty by 2035, according to the World Bank. It is also expected to raise the incomes of 68 million over other Africans who live on less than $5 per day. In fact, it is reputed to be the world's biggest trade deal in terms of participating countries since the establishment of the World Trade Organization in 1994.
Undoubtedly, therefore, economic experts believe a single African market will fundamentally change the economic fortunes of the continent, and the commencement of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is viewed as a historic milestone that will hopefully eliminate all existing barriers and impediments to intra-Africa trade.
Indeed, and especially in the aspect of tariff reduction, rigid custom procedures, and other known trade barriers on the continent, experts say for the African Continental Free Trade Agreement to yield all the touted results and benefit, it must be backed by the right legal frameworks, the right policies, and robust implementation. So, what must be done by the participating countries within that time frame for Africans within and outside the country to start benefiting from the free trade agreement?
Pertinent question there, Jumwe. Other questions to ask will be, what has Nigeria put in place to make the most of the free trade agreement on the continent, and will the pact help accelerate the prospect for a single African currency?
And what specific economic sectors will Nigeria be leveraging on to benefit maximally from the African Continental Free Trade area?
We shall seek answers to these questions and more in the course of today's edition of Good Morning Nigeria. My name is Yusuf Nadabo Usman, saying Happy New Year once again, and welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, from the nation's capital.
And I am Juma Yusuf, joining Nadabo to welcome you to this morning edition of Good Morning Nigeria, the first for this week and second edition for the year 2021. Indeed, everyone who made it to 2021 is attributing it to the grace of the Almighty God, and we are all in the spirit. We shall bring you other complimentary segments in the course of today's program. But first, let's begin with the highlights of the morning news with Noleen Abel-Ameh, who is already seated with her ever-ready smile. Good morning, Noleen. I guess you are still bursting in the euphoria of the Yuletide. You had a good rest, I can see that. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Jumai and Nadavo. Happy New Year to you, Nigeria. Here is the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the killing of 70 people in a border town between Niger Republic and Mali by militants, describing the incident as another clarion call for united action by African leaders against terrorism. In his reaction to the incident, the president said he was profoundly shocked by the large-scale death of innocent people at the hands of militants who have no regard for the sanctity of human life. He said terrorism has now become like a contagion of evil that can spread any time if united action is not taken, explaining that instability in one part of Africa had implications for the security of others. President Buhari therefore expressed his deepest sympathy for the government, the people of Niger, and the families of the victim. The Ebonyi State Police Command has been described as distorted and misleading. A video in circulation on social media platform that Fulani headsmen were being attacked and chased out of Ebonyi State by a faceless group. In a press statement, the command said, "There is no record of threats to the lives of peace-loving herders or their cows in the entire state, as the Fulani community paid a Yuletide visit to the Ebonyi State governor on 2nd of January, and no such threat was reported." It attributed the fake video to the handiwork of mischief makers who made a voice record over the video to create panic, mislead the public, and misrepresent the peaceful coexistence of the herders and their host communities in Ebonyi State. The Ebonyi Police Command therefore urges the general public to regard the video as fake, baseless, and mischievous, and go about their lawful businesses. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police Ebonyi State, Philip Sulemaku, has ordered a full-scale investigation into the matter with a view to arresting those behind the fake video for possible prosecution. The CP is also reassuring the general public, particularly the Fulani headsmen and their host communities in Ebonyi State, of the command's continuous commitment to ensure the safety and security of their lives and properties. The Directorate of Defense Media Operations, DMO, says the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has destroyed more Boko Haram terrorist hideouts and eliminated several of their fighters at 2 locations, Kotekura and Bulama Isamari, both in Borno State. DMO Coordinator Major General John Enenche indicates that the air strikes were executed on 2nd January 2021, employing Nigerian Air Force fighter aircraft based on credible intelligence reports indicating that the terrorists had recently established camps at both settlements for their logistics items and to plan and launch attacks. The NAF attack aircraft engaged scores of terrorists observed in the target areas, leading to the neutralization of several of them and the destruction of structures and logistics stores, some of which were seen engulfed in flames at both locations. Away from security to health now, 917 new COVID-19 infections have been recorded in Nigeria in the last 24 hours. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, says the new infections were reported in 16 states and the FCT, bringing the total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Nigeria to 90,080. FCT has 222 new cases, Lagos 214, Kaduna 119, Plateau 92, Nasarawa 50, Oyo 41, Adamawa 33, Ondo 32, Abia 28, and Ogun 19. Rivers State recorded 17 new cases, Kano 16, Yobe 14, Edo 8, Anambra 6, Ekiti 5, and Jigawa recorded just a case. As Nigeria moves closer to testing 1 million samples, active cases nationwide have increased to 13,725. total discharged cases stand at 75,044, while the death toll has risen to 1,311. Meanwhile, the Presidential Task Force has placed travel restrictions on inbound travelers for refusing to show up at the testing centers and getting their COVID-19 status confirmed. In a tweet, the task force said it had placed travel restrictions on the affected passengers for failing to comply with COVID-19 travel guidelines, which mandate travelers to run the test 7 days after their arrival into the country. National Coordinator of the Presidential Task Force, Sani Aliu, says the affected passport holders will be suspended from traveling for a minimum of 6 months, and that the visas of foreigners who evade the mandatory test would also be revoked. Sani Aliu further disclosed that the 100 affected persons have been contacted and confirmed to have failed to undergo the post-arrival safety protocol. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government is also exploring stiffer measures towards containing the spread of the virus. The state government has equally threatened to deactivate the passports of travelers refusing to comply with COVID-19 testing protocols. In the meantime, the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tallen, has been declared COVID-19 negative by doctors following a second test. In a statement, the minister has, however, enjoined Nigerians, especially women, to beware of COVID-19 and ensure they make efforts to flatten the curve by observing all the laid-down protocols to stay safe. While thanking women and all Nigerians for their love and prayers for all who tested positive for COVID-19, including herself, Tallen restated her commitment to promote the development of Nigerian women health-wise and in mainstream national development. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, has directed the immediate suspension of some staff allegedly involved in extortion of applicants at the Bauchi and Kaduna state offices of the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC. The minister, in a statement, restates his zero tolerance for extortion, bribery and corruption, and notes that such unethical practices, if allowed to fester, have the potential of derailing the SIM-NIN integration project. Enrollment for the National Identification Number NIN is free of charge, and on no account should anyone pay to obtain an enrollment form or to have their biometrics captured. The statement concludes. That's the morning news. The program continues with Nadabo and Jumai after this break. I am Noleen, Abel-Ameh.